So it's much more than just a biological extinguishing, of life for people.
Oh, right.
It's the beginning of winter survival.
True, right.
And the act itself is serious, and it's difficult, but it's also extremely joyful at the same time.
It is. So much hangs in the balance of that moment. I mean, it's the beginning of, many dishes.
Yeah.
Blood sausage and pâtés. I mean, right when you kill, it's like, got the blood, go.
Yeah.
It's go time, right? And so with those dishes, of course, you get camaraderie and community and worship and, I mean, everything that civilization is built on in so many ways. And, it's funny, even our kids can feel that. It's not just a societal thing we're imposing, I think, because we've watched our kids react to the pig kill. And they each have their own way of reacting, but they feel the weight of that moment. And sometimes they can't stop talking, even in the middle of it.
That's our verbose children.
Right. Or they're just mesmerized, or they might cry. But it's not traumatic because they look forward to it the next time.
They do.
They're not scared of it. It's but they feel maybe the solemnity of it, or...
Yeah, and I think it's also a good, as someone with small children who kills animals all the time in front of them, I think it is a good exercise in parental restraint to remember to not dictate how your children ought to feel about a thing.
That's a good point.
Which is tricky because usually, they are, in their youth, they're so raw, they're so unbeguiled, they just... So I tend to think that usually their emotional reaction to a thing, if it's going to be anything, it's going to be authentic.
True.
And, that's something that we hone so that they can learn how to live with people and learn morality. But there's also a sense, because I get asked a lot, what do you do with your kids when pigs slaughter? Do you let them see? Do you let them watch? Should I let my 8-year-old come out when you kill the pig? And I always think, yes, absolutely. But that's only half of it. Like, what really matters, I think, is the aftermath of the pig kill.
Yeah.
And it does take some restraint as a parent to not want to run up and extinguish any negative feelings that your child may have, which is an essential parental impulse. I don't want them to be unduly sad or emotionally stressed out. You want to protect your kids from experiences in pain as a natural impulse. But when they are sad at a pig slaughter, don't overspeak it out of existence. Just you can let them be sad. Be sad with them, because that's an appropriate reaction to death. That is a well-rounded, good human response. Yeah. And so I to this day, I have to hold my tongue. I'm like, oh, Mary, it's okay. It's food. It's like, just shut up for a second.
Right.
We can be with each other. Yeah. And then I think what is so much more valuable to a child is not the discursive analysis that you put on it afterwards. Sure. Even though that has its place, particularly when they get older, you want to try to articulate the value of raising and growing food and taking on the responsibility of the kill insofar as you're able and when you can, and what all of that means. But they will learn that life goes on after the kill. Yeah. And that's a good lesson. Yeah. You don't even have to say that. They will notice that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I think that is a much more effective lesson that they will
this applies to any area when you're dealing with kids. I mean, I homeschool our kids, so but if you truly believe that this is a human act, then you should also allow the freedom of your kids within that act too. Honoring the nature of the pig in its own way, and then but you were talking about easy bondage and strenuous liberty. It is harder to withhold yourself when you're educating your children to not over-educate. Just let them see, because that's part of their education. And then if they're paying attention, then they will also see what comes after the pig killing.
And they are paying attention.
Yeah.
All the time.
Dun, dun, dun.
Everything.
Yeah. No, but they'll see your excitement and maybe a proper amount of nervousness beforehand, and then but then afterward they see the celebration that's also happening, and then they'll learn to connect the two.
Yeah.
And kids react so much more authentically than we adults do, even.
They do. It's usually the adults that have the problem.
We just want to,
And here's the problem with the adults having the problem is that they like it, and I get it. I still have to stifle this in myself. They end up, if they over verbalize after the kill, they end up just foisting their problems on the kid.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Yeah.
But in assuming that the death itself has to be apologized for.
Right.
And explained away so that it's not even regarded as a sad thing.
Yeah.
They are assuming that the child has an overly simplistic view of what just happened. And it's a wrong one.
Yeah.
Like, don't explain away the pain.
Right. We in
Don't
our
explain away
efforts
the
to
death.
protect them,
Yeah.
we end up, instead of equipping them
Yeah.
and strengthening them, we're just dulling them.
A little bit.
And we can, if we're not careful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because the fact is, even after all of our best efforts and good strategy with, picking a still moment or keeping the peace, keeping the calm, shooting from outside the fence, because the moment you step in there, the excitement goes up a little bit. Not nervousness, just excitement. And all of these strategies, death hurts every time.
Yeah.
And that is part of the burden of being someone who eats meat. That is the burden that you assume. Is to inflict the pain of death, reduced as much as you can possibly manage, and as part of a larger negotiation and a deal, sometimes between two whole species. You reduce it as much as you can, but it always hurts.
And of course, the life that results from that death, we believe, is ultimately better and more abundant than had that death not happened at all.
Well, yes, and that's where the responsibility comes in, to vindicate the death.
Exactly.
And this, I just completely steal this from Hugh Fernley Whittingstall whenever I think about it, who's of the River Cottage, and we've talked about him before, but he's just so eloquent when he speaks of this. And he says that there could be, can you imagine, a more great blasphemy or profanation or indignity done to that animal than to serve its flesh and for it to not taste good. Right? The onus is on you to make it taste well as part of the vindication of that self-gift, of that offering. And how horrible it would be to be like, oh, this is rubbish. All that work and this is bland and burnt. That is poor thanks for the gift of life from that creature.
Yeah.